Yo, what's up guys, we're back and today we have chapter 63 of Hope You're Happy Lemon. It just dropped and it was not what I was expecting. I expected more of like I thought this chapter, just given by the information from last chapter, we were going to just hop straight into Lemon and Sunao's little debacle or their confrontation. But it seems that instead we get more backstory to Lemon in her whole thought process before she talks to Sunao. I thought this was going to happen while they were talking, or at least we would get some of their interaction and then she goes into the backstory. But both of these work, and I guess the author's doing this so we don't have to keep jumping back and forth from present to past during the actual, like, their interaction together. But yeah, it's not bad that it's happening now. I thought it would just happen later. So yeah, we just start out, Lemon's, they're still in school, and what we're seeing is signs of like Lemon getting bullied a little bit, getting teased, just from like her little actions. Like because her Lemon's whole character is that she's trying to present herself as the perfect girl, be super nice, sociable, and all that. And like that, the result of that is that a lot of the guys in the class, are starting to like grow fond of her, starting to like her, have crushes. And I think what's happening is that the girls in the class are not liking it, and they're almost trying to prey on her downfall and just talking behind her back, talking bad about her. And she catches wind of it a little bit, and I think she's just, she starts to get in her head and get a little, she stops becoming as confident in herself. She's like thinking that she's doing something wrong. And this is like the whole backstory of why she was like trying to break up with Sunao in the first place. Yeah, I mean, really the whole chapter is just she's being made fun of and they're making fun of Sunao. And she just really feels kind of hurt about it. And the thing is that they're not even talking like completely behind her back. She's like in the room and she can hear. So it's almost like the girls are kind of wanting her to hear them talk bad about her. And this just really doesn't help her mental at all, in the slightest. Yeah, and they just start making up lies and just saying some random stuff like, oh, she was talking to this guy, walking home with them, like whatever. Partially it's like the other girls kind of being jealous of her. And I would just assume, they just don't really like her, I guess. Instead of being friends with her, they'd rather be enemies. But Lemon just wants to, get along with everybody. But it kind of seems like at this point, it's not really gonna happen. And yeah, basically she's just thinking to herself, like, she thought she was doing the right thing, but being nice to everyone. And she's just trying to wonder, like, what she's missing. And yeah, and not only this, it's like because Sunao is like kind of getting thrown into the mix with it, she doesn't really want to talk to him about it because she doesn't, I guess, want to start up a fight or anything. And yeah, I just don't know if that's the right choice that she should have made, because she knows that Sunao would have came and defended her. But yeah, it's just her whole lack of self-confidence and kind of self-worth that is, the driving factor of her character. Then the crazy thing is that in her mind, she thinks that Sunao is just gonna think she's weak and pathetic. But judging by Sunao's character, I don't know if that's really gonna happen. But it's just kind of one of those things when you have you don't feel like the greatest about yourself, and now you're throwing someone else into it. Sometimes you just want to just avoid it entirely, and that's kind of the path that Lemon took. And yeah, this really just kind of goes on for the whole chapter. All like the girls in the classes are just talking bad about Lemon. It's not every person, but I guess the cliquey popular girls are just kind of, they don't really like her, and it's kind of tough to see, and it's hard to watch and read that it's basically just actively getting bullied, but she's trying to, like, in a way justify that it's not bullying, maybe in trying to like put the blame on herself, saying that she's doing something wrong. But yeah, eventually one of the girls comes up and says, I've always felt like you think you're better than us, like, sorry, but it's really hard not to notice. So I guess the girls are really just, I mean, in my mind, I think they're just jealous of just Lemon being like this perfect student, perfect, just displaying this like kind of character of, outwardly at least, of self-confidence. But inside it's just, not everyone is the same on the outside as they are on the inside. Yeah, Lemon is basically like a perfect example of that. And then they also say, that's why I hate you. So yeah, these girls are just kind of like, man, bro, that's just a crap situation to be in, especially if Lemon doesn't want to, talk to anyone else about it. It's just kind of like, dang, bro, she just kind of has to deal with it on her own. And then Lemon even goes and tries to say like, oh, so like, if I admit that you guys are right, and I apologize, will that fix everything? Okay, and then the next panel is kind of a weird thing. Maybe it's like English, translation is a little off, But Lemon says, if I say that you're right, if I apologize, will that fix everything for you? And then she says, it won't, will it? So just leave me alone. I mean, I guess it's, you know, something that you could say, but I just didn't really think that was part of Lemon's like character, just to like leave me alone. I guess it's just hard to get tonality out of this panel. But I'm guessing that she's just kind of saying this in a tone of just like, hey guys, just please leave me alone. But yeah, it's almost the way that it's worded just seems a little passive aggressive. But I think that might just be a translation thing. And then yeah, Lemon just says, I want to just keep loving Sunao. I want him to keep loving me. I want to hold on to my real friends. I want to stay on good terms with the people I'm not close to. I want to focus on my upcoming entrance exams. I want to seem as perfect as possible so people think I'm a good person. If I do it right, people will like me. But I can't shake the feeling that everyone can see how fake I really am. So yeah, this kind of just confirms everything that Lemon, she just, on the inside, just really isn't that confident about herself. So she's just really trying to, you know, try as hard as she can to just be perceived as perfect. And yeah, I mean, that's just kind of what it is, and that's just something she has to really work on. By the end of the series, I hope it's kind of fixed, because it's more of like a mental thing. It's not really, I don't know, man. I think at this point, there's just people who are jealous of her because she's just, you know, trying to do everything to be perfect, but she just can't see it in herself yet. So yeah, basically after all this, we cut to the breakup scene with Sunao just after school, and then she's thinking to herself, oh, I'm so pathetic. What if I told Sunao everything? She's like, a part of me feels like we're still friends. I wouldn't have thought twice about telling him, but I don't know what to say now that he's my boyfriend. And then she goes and says, let's break up. So yeah, I mean, this whole chapter was just kind of the whole build up to why they broke up. Lemon, you know, afterwards keeps talking about like, oh, I need to come up with, you know, have an excuse and whatever. And that excuse just because it was convenient enough and the other girls were saying it already, that she was, you know, cheating on him. So that's kind of what she rolls with. And yeah, that's where we lead off the present story with, is that, you know, that scene. And now we have the backstory of why that whole thing is the case. I don't think it's that bad of a way to go, especially the explanation of why they broke up and why they got in this situation anyways. Because it's I mean, I think it's good personally, because it's not like, you know, some crazy rom-com, rent-a-girlfriend, you know, bullshit. But it's not like that. So it is it's a real story, and something that, you know, you might be able to see in like real life. But yeah, the only gripe really, okay, and then yeah, okay, let's just finish the chapter and then I'll keep talking. Basically, Lemon just keeps saying, you know, talking to herself, thinking in her head like I didn't want him to worry, but I just didn't want him to see the real me. And, you know, her real me is just less confident. But yeah, so that's the reason that she broke up. It's not that she, you know, fell out of love or anything, but that's just kind of what it is. She's just not too confident in herself, and then just dropped the whole relationship. So yeah, and then the chapter ends, and that's basically kind of that. But yeah, going back, I think it's a good series. I think it's a good concept. I think it's a good premise. The only issue I have right now is we're 63 chapters in, and we've spent a lot of time with Sunao developing a relationship with Kogahara, like the other love interest in the story, because his whole story arc, you know, his whole character development was that, hey, I got cheated on, or supposedly. I don't know if I really believe that, but for me to forget about all that, I need to just hate Lemon and, you know, just drop her entirely and then try to fall in love with someone else, right? And from what I've observed in the story is that Sunao kind of did that. Like, he kind of developed feelings for Kogahara instead of Lemon. And to me, his relationship with Lemon seems more friends. So that's really the only gripe I have with the series, is that it's been so long, and now, you know, we're trying to introduce Lemon as a love interest again. I mean, maybe it was just my wishful thinking and expectations going into the series that we weren't going to just have, you know, the girl on the title win. But it's kind of hard to say, because, you know, Lemon is also a big part of the story, and, you know, they are swapping bodies with each other. So it's kind of like, yeah, but there just hasn't been any relationship development between the two, I feel like, at least love interest wise. So I really feel like Kogahara should, at least they're like, this story is gonna have to go on for a lot longer to flesh it out and make it seem feasible as to why Sunao falls out of love with Kokahara and falls back in love with Lemon. Honestly, in the upcoming chapters, because I thought this one was gonna be the, when Lemon actually talks to Sunao about the incident and confirms his suspicions, his doubts, and whatever, but it wasn't. So in the future, like, what I think is gonna happen is that at this current point in time, Lemon's gonna talk about it and then maybe try to say, I'm still in love with you, Sunao. And I think he's just gonna like try to reject her, and then we'll just go from there. I'm not too sure what's gonna happen because, like I said, we've just spent so much time with Kokahara. There have been things in the story where Lemon's like, oh, but I'm still in love with him. But like on Sunao's end, it's not really like that. At least right now in the story. So I think that we're just going to have to, have some time. If you want to ship Lemon with Sunao, it's gonna just be some time in the ringer for that to happen. And yeah, I mean, that's really about it. This chapter was pretty good. I wish there was, they do more cover pages, and like there's more full panel artwork that isn't just like has text everywhere on it. But they are trying to get, like, the author's trying to get a lot of information in, so makes sense. I would just prefer to have more, artwork in that's just like text free. So it's more of like we can interpret an emotion that the author is trying to portray rather than just through the words. But yeah, that's really about it. Hope you guys liked it. Right now, I'm really just planning on doing Lemon, Mayanaka Heart Tune, and Rent a Girlfriend until those series are finished. I might pick up a few more series, but yeah, that's really what I see for the foreseeable future. But yeah, that's really about it.